There is something about visiting a banned location that just raises your adrenaline, whether it's the thrill of potentially being caught, or the idea that you can see something that no one else can see. We all have to admit that we've dreamt of visiting an abandoned location or two. From forgotten islands to underground cave systems, today we're going to be taking a look at 10 forbidden places in the world that you are banned from visiting. But before we get started, don't forget to hit that like button and ring the notification bell. Otherwise, your love life is going to be considered an abandoned and forbidden location for all of eternity. Number 10. North Brother Island is the name given to a 13-acre plot of land located in New York City's Eastern River. The island was once home to over 1,000 people whose ships sank in the nearby waters. This was the only place that they could flee to, so they set up shop and called the island their home. Later on, after all these people had moved away, a building on the island was converted into a small hospital. The facility was converted to take care of patients who were incredibly sick and highly contagious. And it was the perfect location for such a hospital because there were no other humans within several miles of the area. Mary Mallon was an individual who was cared for at this hospital, though she is better known as Typhoid Mary. And no, not Daredevil's arch nemesis Typhoid Mary. This one is known for being the first person to have ever caught typhoid fever in the entire country. This was a serious health condition at the time, and treatment options were slim. Mary unknowingly infected about 50 people, and 3 of those people eventually passed away as a result of the disease. Today, the island is completely abandoned, and the buildings that stand on the property are beginning to crumble and become reclaimed by all the elements. The island sits as a grim reminder of the tragedies that once unfolded on and around the island. Number 9. This location is a bit interesting because it isn't entirely banned from the public, but it is banned during all nighttime hours. Vanguard Fort is an incredibly mysterious place located in India. The fort has been a hotspot for tourist activity for decades. There are countless stories to be told concerning the area, and many historically significant moments have taken place there. However, the fort is also known to be extremely haunted. Now, many may chalk this up to being nothing more than superstition, but this area is so ridiculously haunted that the Indian government had to step in to help resolve the situation. There have been countless reports of people visiting the fort after dark, only to go missing and never be heard from again. In addition to these confirmed reports, locals had reported hearing and seeing all sorts of ghostly activities taking place. In most other parts of the world, these issues would have been left alone, and virtually nothing would have been done about it. However, the Indian government became so concerned with the reports that they have shut down the location from any sort of local or tourist activity after dark. There have been several reports of people breaking into the area after hours, but they too have gone missing. And some of those reports have obviously not been validated, but many records of individuals going missing at the fort can be found relatively easily. Number 8. Heard Island is considered to be a part of Australia, even though it is much closer to both Madagascar and Antarctica. The island is home to many different types of animals, both aquatic and mammal. The island is known to have a dense population of seals and penguins, as well as birds that cannot be found anywhere else in the world. Over 40 different ice glaciers can be found on the island, but interestingly enough, the island is also the location of a volcano. In the year 2000, visitors in the area began to notice that lava had begun to flow from the island's mountaintops. Mawson's Peak had become active for the first time in many years and posed a threat to any humans who visited the island, and before that, the island was open to the public, though after the volcanic eruption, it has been since closed off and is now only able to be visited by high-ranking officials or wildlife experts. Number 7. Lasco is the name given to a series of caves that can be found in southwestern France. Inside of these caves are over 600 wall paintings that were discovered that cover the interior walls and ceilings, telling countless stories of a life that once was. The paintings are predominantly composed of animals, such as livestock, that are estimated to have been created during the Paleolithic era. The paintings are known to have taken place over many generations, and no one is entirely sure how old the paintings are or how long they took to be completed, but we can expect them to have been most likely painted over several hundreds of years. Some have estimated the paintings to be around 17,000 years old, but this number has never been confirmed and is unlikely to be true. The first entrance to these caves was discovered in 1940 by an 18-year-old named Marcel Ravedot. He was traveling around the area with his dog who just happened to fall into a hole. Marcel called for help and returned to the area with 3 of his friends. They realized that the hole led to a small cave, which was estimated to be about 50 feet below the surface of the ground. The group of friends entered the caves and explored them briefly before informing the proper authorities about their discovery. By 1941, experts had begun to unearth the remainder of the cave and document their findings. They found several hallways, each of which depicted a different type of artwork, and those are included in the Hall of Bulls, the passageway, the shaft, the chamber of felines, and several others. Experts began to make copies of drawings of the cave paintings so that they could be studied and filed away for future generations to research. Just a few years later, in 1948, the caves were open to the public as a tourist attraction. Thousands of individuals flocked to the area, with numbers totaling about 1,200 visitors a day. However, by 1955, the paintings were becoming visibly damaged because of all the traffic. Experts believe that the deterioration of the paintings was due to carbon dioxide, heat, humidity, and other natural contaminants that were causing the ink and paint to fade. By 1963, the caves were completely closed to the public. Since then, no member of the public has ever set foot in the caves, and they are also under 24/7 surveillance to ensure that no one gets into the caves without proper clearance from local officials. Number 6. Pravsika Brana is one of the Czech Republic's most recognizable landmarks. It was a major tourist attraction for many years, but it was officially closed to the public in 1982. Researchers in the area became fearful that the erosion from so many guests would cause the archway to collapse over time. Now, while that is certainly a possibility, geologists seem to insist that the archway is at no greater chance of collapsing with human traffic than it is without it. But, honestly, why risk it? Regardless though, the ban of visiting this arch has been enforced for nearly 40 years, and all guests are requested to admire the beauty from afar, rather than approach it and risk disturbing the soil and or possibly dying from an arch collapse. Number 5. The Doomsday Vault is the nickname given to a very important vault located in Norway. Officially called the Global Seed Vault, this vault is location of over 100 million seeds for virtually every plant known to man. The vault was built in 2008 as a means to protect our most important plants and be able to regrow them in case anything major ever threatens our vegetation and plant life. This could take the form of nuclear warfare, sunbursts that wipe out our power grid and burn down our plant life, and so much more. The vault is built to last around 200 years before needing repairs, and it is said to have been built strong enough to withstand several nuclear explosions or earthquakes. Hopefully the vault will never be needed, but it is a nice security measure to have just in case, provided there are still people living after said fallout. Number 4. North Sentinel Island is inhabited by a tribe that we have dubbed the Sentinelese people. The island is several miles large, but no modern human has ever successfully entered the area, as the locals are incredibly violent toward outsiders. Any attempts that have been made to visit the island have been quickly abandoned by the visitors, with some visitors even losing their lives while attempting to make contact. Anywhere between 50 and 300 people are expected to live in the area, but we don't even know what language these people speak to be able to attempt to make any sort of peaceful form of contact. The island has been banned by the Indian government, who prevents anyone from attempting to contact the tribe or visit the nearby areas. And rightfully so. If they wanted to be contacted, they'd come across. Leave them alone. Number 3. Mesagory is located in Russia. This town is surrounded by mystery and no one knows exactly what's in it. The area is strictly prohibited by the Russian government. No one has ever managed to step foot within its boundary, as it is surrounded by 2 battalions. This area is potentially a nuclear test site or a research base that is similar to America's Area 51, but we simply don't know for sure, and no one is really willing to ask or risk their life to even find out. Number 2. Surtsey is an island that is believed to be the youngest landmass in the world. It was created by a volcanic eruption that took place in 1963 through 1967. The island is now only used for conducting research, and anyone who tries to enter the island without proper supervision or clearance will face some serious fines or imprisonment by the Icelandic authorities. The idea behind the island is to help scientists understand how land masses age and develop without any human interference. Number 1. Chichen Itza is one of the most popular tourist destinations in the world. This is one of the very few pyramids that humans are allowed to visit, touch, and photograph without the assistance of local authorities or even some kind of intense supervision. However, this pyramid too has now been banned from members of the public climbing it or touching it, because back in 2006, a woman fell from the top of the pyramid and lost her life. Since then, the pyramid has been banned from the public aside from visitors viewing it from a chain link barrier.